This is Bob Friesen, and this slideshow has been created to help you understand the act called FERPA. Now, what is FERPA? FERPA is actually a federal act that stands for Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. And as the act states, it basically gives families the opportunity to have the right to look at their information for their children that the school has in their files, and it also allows them to keep that information private and have some control over who will be able to see those files. Who does FERPA protect? First of all, it protects the records of students that are under 18. And while they're under 18, they allow the parents to be able to control what is in those files to some degree. It also says that after they're 18, meaning when they're in college or outside of high school, that right then is transferred over to the students themselves. Now, what right do parents have according to FERPA? Well, first of all, it allows them to go to the school and simply ask to view the student records. Secondly, if they feel like those records are incorrect, they can request that they be corrected. If the school says no, they can simply ask for a hearing in which other people will be called in to listen to their complaint. And if the school still is not going to change the records, they can file a statement of disagreement that will also be placed into the file itself. And of course, it gives them some control over who will be able to see the file throughout the time as well. Now, what types of records apply? What is actually in these student records? Most of this refers to educational records. Obviously, things that are of personal nature, like birth dates, place of birth, and also social security numbers, parent and guardian information, any information that the school has been keeping on their completion rates, grades, different things that they've done during school. Maybe there's a national test or a state test, and of course, classes that they've completed and the grades they have in those. Any official letters, maybe the school has sent them something good or bad, and those would also be in the file. And of course, placement records, especially if they're in special ed or ESL or anything else. Disciplinary records and the action that has been taken. And of course, also medical records, and these would be records not necessarily from a doctor's office, but things that the school has done, like vision and hearing. And attendance records, looking at how often the student has been tardy and how many days they've missed. Now, who else gets to look at these records? Of course, any school official can look at it as long as it's for educational purposes. Other and public and private schools would be able to look at them if the student is transferring to those schools and the school has to send those records. Government officials can look at it as the state comes in and they want to audit one of the programs. And of course, any official, as students begin to look at college and look for financial aid, they have to give permission for those schools to look at their information. Anybody looking at conducting studies, as long as it has been okayed by the school, and accrediting organizations. Of course, that could be North Central accreditation or even the only QPA through the state itself. Court officials, if the school gets a court order and they have to hand over those files. And of course, if there's health and safety emergencies, maybe there's a threat to the school, or maybe there's some sickness going around, they may have to show their health records. And state and local authorities, if their student has been in trouble or they fear that the student might be in danger, they can ask for those as well. Now, what can be shared then? A lot of this information can't. What can be? Basically directory information. This would be things that you would find in any book that you would pick up publicly, like a phone book or a student yearbook or the school website or a public website anywhere around. Now, if you think about it, if you open up a school yearbook, what will you find? Or a phone book or the school website? Well, probably you'd be able to find out the student address and phone number. You'd be able to figure out through the yearbooks that the students' pictures are in what years they actually were in school. And of course, you could look at the activities on the different pages to see which ones they were involved with, and as well as a lot of different activities and possibly even their future plans. Now, as far as administrators and secretaries, what do you need to be concerned with when it comes to FERPA? Well, first of all, remember at the beginning of the year, the parents need to be able to give notice that they have the rights to FERPA. Now, most of the time, that will probably be at before school enrollment or sometime at the beginning of the year. Also, parents need to be aware that directory information, what information you will share with other schools or other public officials or possibly even the newspaper. And of course, they also need to be able to request that that directory information not be shared and allow them to basically sign off that they do not want that information to be given to other places like the newspaper. And of course, this could be again at before school. And again, they need to have a form that they might want to sign so that that information may not be shared. Now, teachers, what do you need to know? First of all, remember, anytime you talk about students' grades, first of all, your grade book is a part of the record. And so you need to be careful when you're trying to show that to others. Of course, talking about students with other teachers. Of course, think about where you are, if it can be overheard. Also, remember why are you talking to them and which other teachers, are the teachers who also have that student, or are you simply gossiping? And of course, also blogging, emailing, any of that information that can be on the internet and can be traced and can be printed and sent to somebody else, you need to be careful of as well, especially if you're talking about students' names. Everyone needs to remember. Don't send, sound, blog, email, text, don't do anything that looks like this, gentleman. If you're sharing information that's supposed to be confidential, and you need to make sure it's for an educational purpose, and of course you need to think about who you're sharing it with. Is it a legal recipient of that information? 3 questions to ask. What information am I sharing? Is it personal? Is it confidential? Is it something I should actually be sharing with somebody else other than the parents? Who am I sharing the information with? Is it another teacher because they also have that student, and that student you need to find out if they have trouble in that classroom as well? Is it another school because they teacher in another school has had that student, or that student has transferred? And of course, is it a legal thing? Possibly there's some legal action going on and you are by court order told to share that information. And of course, why are you sharing the information? Is it to help that student succeed and there's an educational purpose? Is it because the student is struggling and you need to find out what other teachers are doing that might be working? Or is it something legal? And whether it be that they're under abuse and someone else needs to be taken care of, or possibly the student is endangering themselves as well. So remember to protect. Protect the student, first of all, through FERPA. The information is obviously personal and private, and it needs to stay that way. Protect your school so they aren't obviously under legal considerations of being sued, and of course also yourself as well. You want to make sure that you can maintain a confidentiality, which will help you earn students' respect as well. And these are just some things to think about as you understand FERPA as it applies to our school.